Are we rolling?
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? This is Joe from BMT coming at you again with a hot first time debate in a long time. And I wanted to bring an amazing star studded panel. I have Mobu of Dirty Blurs. I have Lady J, the analyst. And also I have Irene Yvette of the Irene Yvette Show on her channel, Irene Yvette. We're coming here today to actually have a spirited, good-hearted debate, talking on hot topics that some people are afraid to talk about, but we need to talk about. Take a seat, crack open some wine, smoke some ganja, grab a booty, and have a good time. You guys, welcome to Black Male Talk. We'll begin with the panelists. You all know the rules. 4 minutes to talk. If you make sure if you feel like it's getting pretty hot, please say safe word, which is most likely ganja for tonight. We'll begin.
Right.
So first team that will be going first, that will be representing.
Okay.
What's up? Well, I was gonna let y'all. I was gonna actually give y'all a little team introductions. We're gonna have Mobu as well as Jay. They're gonna be representing the LGBT lifestyle and as well as community. Also, Irene will be representing the Black traditional family. Is that correct for both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least on my end.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, guys. I start off with the question, and it will be going to the lifestyle family first, that would be LGBT. The Black family or trial. Is it possible that that they have been thriving more inside of a untraditional household, more so than they have been in the past years of the traditional family household? I'll give y'all that question first.
Jay, do you mind if I start with this one? I just do some reading.
Yeah.
Okay, is that his phone? Is that him?
I think so.
So I looked at
Okay, we can't hear you, Maurice.
question up earlier today,
Mute his phone.
and the first article I got.
Okay, Jay. Hey, Mobile. You're messing up.
Your Wi-Fi or whatever, Maurice. If you can hear us, we can't hear you, so you're gonna have to maybe log out and log back in. As far as my answer to my question, I don't need 4 minutes because I'm just gonna say yes.
Anyway,
Does he even know that?
He probably can't hear us. Can you hang him up at all?
I looked this question up on Google or
Okay, everything you just said was all. That's all we.
Can you hear me now?
Nobody heard anything.
Yes. I don't know. Skynet
can't hear anything.
Yes.
No.
We didn't hear nothing. We kept telling you that over and over.
Okay, I'll step out and come back in.
Okay, we literally.
Jay, take this. Jay, take care of this.
Okay.
Take care of this. I was just gonna say yes. I do feel that a child can thrive with the LGBT couple, just as well as they could thrive in a traditional family.
No. I was saying, have they been thriving even more so better?
Even more so. I mean, I couldn't say yay or nay on that.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna pass it on to we would have Mobu, but whenever he gets back. Irene, are you here with us, dear? Oh, Mobu, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, then you can't really see me, but you can at least hear me.
It's fine. It's all right.
So, as I was saying, I looked this up, and the first article that came up was by Focus on the Family, and they were talking about how children of gay parents are worse off. But then every other article after that either said they're doing better, and the vast majority of them said there really is no difference. In fact, most of them said there really is no difference between straight parents and gay parents raising children. The only real difference is gay parents actually want the children that they have. Whereas in straight parents, sometimes these babies aren't planned and they have to make do. That's to me, that's the difference between gay parents and straight parents is that gay parents actually want the children that they're making or that they've adopted. And straight parents, they either plan for it or they don't, and it just happens. Either way, it doesn't really make a difference. It's all about how you raise them, about how the person who's doing the raising is. It has nothing to do with the sexuality. One thing I can tell you for certain is that gay parents are a lot more accepting of their children's choices than straight parents are. Because straight parents have this idea of what heteronormative is, what, good and bad is, what masculine and feminine is, whereas, your gay parents, they don't really give a shit about either of those things. They just want the well-being of their child. How many minutes I got left? Because that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Okay, no, you did pretty good. I actually was clocking that time, and just pretty much we just been around, and I just cracked open a beer. So that was within 3 to 4 minutes. So actually, you did a really good job. Irene, we're passing on the question to you. There, are you finished making French conquistador quiches and cheesecake pie?
I have officially finished. I'm gonna wash dishes and multitask. All right, so let me talk about just very briefly my stance on this. My stance is that children in gay homes are at a disadvantage, both from not having a natural male and female parent, from not having their biological parents, which you guys know I promote that in straight homes. I do want to second what he says, which is we do have a lot of birth and child murder via abortion by straight parents who do not want their kids. However, when we consider that in the gay community, homosexual men are a group that is highly vulnerable to depression and suicide, and that the rate among gay men, specifically who are the highest demographic that do choose to adopt and raise children, is 3 times higher than the general adult population. And since we're specifically talking about the Black community, those rates are even increased by double to threefold, depending on the city that you go with, in those homes. So what we are looking at is putting children in homes where they're disadvantaged in the ways I mentioned before, but they're also likely to be in a home with 2 mentally ill parents who are who are prone to suicide and who essentially are unstable. Not to mention the fact that homosexuality is a mental illness. And although gay parents might be accepting, a person that has fewer and lower boundaries for themselves will often be more accepting of behavior. But that's not necessarily indicative of love or healthy nurture. And so that's where I would stand with that.
And where are you getting your information from that homosexuality is a mental illness? So Joe can post
Yes,
that.
I'd like to know that.
Well, we know that historically it has always been treated as a mental.
No, but I need actual.
It's just in recent history that it.
Well, in 1973, they removed it from the ASM, and in 1992, the World Health Organization said it was no longer a disease. So that's some BS you're talking.
Let me answer your question. So we know that historically, for most of human history, that has how it has been considered. It is a deviancy. But more importantly than that, we see with the embracing of the homosexual lifestyle, these subsects of mentally ill people, such as transsexuals and such, people who are chopping off their breasts, who are inverting their penises and shoving them inside of their body, who are taking drugs to enlarge their clit to make a fake penis. We are seeing that these individuals are sick. And instead of treating people because we have accepted one sort of mental illness, we are seeing it run rampant to the point of body disfiguration. So anybody with just sense and rationale knows that this is sick. There is nobody who's not sick who will take their phallus and stick it in something where you defecate from and feces comes out of. We know that that is also unhealthy in the sense that it makes you more prone to immune deficiency because your anal and your anus is very sensitive to that. We know when we look at homosexual women, the act of taking a foreign object to replace the male phallus and inserting that into your vagina, if we just think about this as rational human beings, we know that this is unhealthy. We know that this is a mental illness.
We got the 4 minutes up yet?
Where are you getting your information from?
Hold on. Seriously. Please tell me this.
Let me do the next question. Let me ask you.
No, we deserve a rebuttal, but okay.
I'm going to do the next question. Because after I do these 3 questions, I'm going to allow y'all to start reciprocating with each other. Okay? Let me
Because
get these.
that's some bullshit.
Let me get these questions out.
Go on.
As far as it goes, for mental health and treatment, especially dealing with young Black boys and girls, has the mental psyche, or as well as the mental psyche of the home, been better and further evolving inside the gay home or the heterosexual family home as of 2018? We're going to start off with Jay.
Ask the question one more time.
As far as it goes for the psyche of the male and female child or adult going through in a gay home, has it been growing and evolving for better, or has it been de-escalating and de-evolving for worse as of 2018?
Okay, so I have this study. I think it's from 2014, something like that. I'm not sure. I can send you the link, but this is from the NCBI, the .gov website. Basically, it says to date, the consensus in social science literature is clear. In the United States, children living with 2 same-sex parents fare as well as children residing with 2 different-sex parents. Numerous credible methodology and sound social science studies, including many drawing on the nationally representative data, form the basis of this consensus. These studies reveal that children raised in same-sex parent families fare just as well as children raised in different sex parent families across a wide spectrum of child being measures, including academic, cognitive, social, psychological health, early sexual activity, and substance abuse. So it's a whole chart. I can send it to you, but it's just basically saying that the kids are pretty much equal when it comes to all of those things.
Okay.
That again.
All right. So I pass it on to Mobu before I give it to Irene. Has the psyche of the child going through and evolving, whether it be male or female, has it gotten better in the gay household, or has it been de-evolving and furthering worse as of 2018?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, that's a somewhat loaded question because it really doesn't matter the sexuality of the parent. It matters that their own psyche. I mean, like me, I was a step parent once, and I was pretty open-minded and progressive with my son, with my stepson. So, I think he turned out to be a pretty good man. I mean, I never had to, whip him or spank him at any point in time, all the way from his age 13 to 22, and he turned out to be really good. It just actually really depends on the parent because you have some gay parents that are just as fucked up as straight parents and so on and so forth. But the one thing I can say in particularly is that I have noticed amongst gay parents is, like I said, they're more accepting of a child's choices than a straight parent. They allow their children to develop on their own using the lessons given to them by their parents instead of lessons enforced by parents. So it's a either or, 12 in one hand, a dozen in another type situation. It's like I said, it's not really something that you can actually place down based on sexuality. It has to have to do with the parent themselves, their parenting style, the way they were raised, the promises they made themselves that they wouldn't do or do according to their child. It really just depends on that. I think I'm close to 3 minutes here, but I got one last thing I'm going to say, and the whole idea of gay people being mentally ill with the whole depression and suicide thing, that thing really does evolve from, well, imagine you had to hide yourself for so many years. I mean, hell, I'm pansexual and I was depressed for the longest time, not because, oh, I'm pansexual. I was depressed because I had to hide that shit. I was depressed because, I didn't accept myself because there was no words for me and I couldn't talk to anybody about it. So, yeah, I was depressed. I mean, hell, it's like the whole concept of millennials being depressed. You put them on a planet where it's shit, and you expect them to just exist and be happy and not have any problems? Of course not. The amount of antidepressants being sold in this country is ridiculous. For that simple reason there. And I'm going to end it right there because I could go on forever. But to answer your question, it doesn't matter what the sexuality of the parent is. It has to do with what the soul of the parent is. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Irene, are you there?
Yes, I am. Well, I just want to say that I do agree with him that a completely dysfunctional straight person could possibly be a worse parent than a high functioning homosexual. But this is not the norm, right? So, with that said, most people are dysfunctional. And then when you add homosexuality on top of that, it's additional dysfunction. I want to go to a study that was conducted by Dr. Paul Sullins that dealt with early onset, or I'm sorry, delayed onset of depression among adults with same sex parents. So this is a study that's a little bit more extensive, and I won't go into the entire thing, but I will just say essentially there is late onset depression for those children after they grow into adulthood if they're not exhibiting troubles prior to that. And he goes into a number of reasons of why this might be the case. I also want to just speak to what he said regarding why depression is so high in the gay community. Let us be clear that that's an argument that is made, but the goalpost is always being moved. So, for example, with transgenders who are also homosexual, they will say it was the hiding of their homosexuality, the hiding of their transgenderism. But when they do get their reconstructive surgery, their depression is even higher. And then they move the goalposts and blame it on something else. But what nobody wants to look at is, could it simply be, because I heard a congresswoman, and I have a video on my channel that talked about this, speak about her early encounter as a lesbian, and that she had to get past her own disgust, her own uncomfortableness with what she was doing in order to live a happy life as a lesbian. And as a Christian, I will say that that's something the Bible talks about, is that you reach a place where you're finally given over to your own lust and your own issues. And I feel like gay people often live in this place where what they know they're doing is not right. And they blame their feelings of knowing that on society, when in reality, it is a check and balance. Just like when we put our hand to fire, we know to move it. Because we are biologically designed to have a aversion to certain things. There are certain animals we want to approach. There are certain foods we want to eat. There are certain smells that repel us. And when you ignore those urges, the result very well could be depression. And so we have to look at that too.
Okay. All right. So let me give off some readings from the chat, because we like to read the chat, because the chat always shows us support. So we will show you support. Again, those who are in the chat, if you have any questions, if you have anything for the panel, please ask us during the show. We will gladly read it out to you. We will not force you to super chat, because that's not what we're about right now. We want to get questions. We want them to be able to answer the questions. Please keep it respectful of their lifestyle. If you don't agree, that's on you. You're not the one doing the do. You're just asking the question. So don't take it to any type of heart. So let's read the latest thing. One guy says, yeah, Mobu is on point with depression, but depression and suicide are up. Let me see. God damn, my eyes are gone to shit. Are up across the board in all demographics. You want to look at the gays, straight men of color, straight white men, millennials, boomers. BK said good point on depression with regards to melons from Mobu. So yes, so they're agreeing with Mobu on the depression.
And according to this reading from Psychology Today, yes, Irene was partially right, but that's also like in regards to what Kevin was saying. Basically, it's saying that individuals that identify as transgender do tend to experience higher rates of mental health issues than the general population. So while approximately 6.7% of the general United States suffers from depression, and 18% of everyone, this isn't just the LGBT, of everyone suffers from anxiety, nearly half of individuals who identify as transgender experience depression and anxiety.
How many identify as transgender?
So they're just saying the general U.S. population is 18%.
18% of. So you said 18% identify as transgender.
The LGBT, yes, I'll send it to you. And then half of transgender.
Oh, so half the gay community identifies with transgender?
Right. So So half the gay community, and then approximately, let's just say 20% for the sake of argument, 20% of the street community identify as being depressed.
Okay.
Anxiety, whatever.
Now, last question that I want to ask, and then y'all can start having y'all discussion, as long as we keep it respectful. Why is it that black men, as much power as the LGBT has been showing as of late, have not gone to them to regain more purposeful duties in the household?
Can you explain that question better?
Why is it that black men, as much power as the LGBT gay community has gained, have not used them to gain dutiful responsibility back in the home? Because we've seen gay couples as well as gay people adopt black children and also come in the home. Why isn't black men following suit behind them and actually going to them and back home?
I have my ideas about that, but
You got 4 minutes.
two words you don't want to hear, but I'll tell you anyway. Toxic masculinity, man.
Toxic masculinity.
And the reason why I say that is because no average straight black male is going to want to take any advice from a homosexual of any type, because they feel that they are lesser creatures than they are. They feel that since they are completely heteronormative or Judeo-Christian in mindset, that what they're doing is right and the way they're doing it is right. And even if two gay guys raising a daughter and doing her hair, taking her to school and packing her lunches and being supportive, beautiful parents, even if they're doing that and outshowing the straight men, they still have too much pride to go to a gay man and say, hey, how do you make this work? What do you do? Teach me your method so I can be a better parent. They don't want to do that because in their mind that makes them less of a man. They think that they should be the ones to be able to do that themselves because, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Get it? But when I see these beautiful, loving relationships, two women raising children, two men raising children, it doesn't matter to me because those are two loving parents who care and do all the work necessary to become a parent. And until we can put aside the whole what is normal and what isn't normal, or what is right or what isn't right, okay, and look at simply what is best for the child, all right, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to get anywhere. I was lucky enough that my father was a good enough man that he never had to raise his hand to me. I was lucky enough for that. I was unlucky enough, however, to have a stepfather who was a Pentecostal pastor who enjoyed slapping the shit out of me, who enjoyed degrading and disrespecting my mother, who enjoyed using the word of God to commit all sorts of fuckery against my family, and that he still does it, even after my mother's died. But, like I said, it's toxic masculinity. It's that pride that we as straight people are better than gay people, and we don't need their advice to do things because that's how it's supposed to be, and they're unnatural. If they're so unnatural, how come your kids are out there fucking around and their kids are actually taking piano recitals, getting scholarships, doing better in life, and not feeling pressured to do so, but doing so because they feel they have a good support system? Why is it that my friend who's raised, my lady friend who's raised by two women, okay, knows more about history and life and living and love and respect than my straight homeboy does?
Because overall,
why is that?
Because same-sex couples have more disposable discretionary income overall than standard trees.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is.
I don't have the actual link for that, but that is, but yes.
That's a fact, though. I mean, gay people in general have more discretionary disposable income than straight people.
So therefore, they can afford, right. So therefore, that's why they can afford the extra things like the piano lessons and the arts and stuff like that. Yeah.
So let's go over to Irene. Irene, are you here, dear?
I am. I think what you just said is so fascinating to me, and I'm so sorry to hear that that was a part of your childhood, and I'm very sorry that it was at the hands and supposedly in the name of God. But it does explain your sexual orientation because Dr. Andrea L. Roberts, Maria Glymore, and Kirsten Conan did a study about does maltreatment in childhood affect sexual orientation in adulthood. And studies have found a positive association between physical and sexual abuse, neglect, and witnessing violence in childhood, and same-sex sexuality in adulthood. So that's very interesting. And just to speak to his question,
that link? I would
bring
like to
that
look
up
at it
because
too.
what you said made me think of that. But just to address his question, your question, I'm sorry. I want to say that we talk about gay people like you just are walking down the street and everybody's gay. They make up like 4% of the population. Okay?
That is true.
So there's not like, there's a plethora of gay people out there to ask questions to. Also, there's the very, very visible minority. Let's also be clear that they can't reproduce. So if they want children and access to children, they have to adopt. So they're not doing this because they're great human beings. They're doing this because that's the only way they're going to get kids. Unless they're women, right? Unless it's homosexual women. Then somebody can carry the child. But mostly it's gay men that are adopting. So I just want to throw that out there because the foundation for the question to me is kind of flawed in that they aren't doing something because they're so great. They're doing something because it's the only option they have as people who cannot reproduce.
Okay. But I want to ask like I said, the question was, why are black men? But I know you preach about the man should be the head of the home. The man should be stepping up, and his masculinity is very much important. I know you talk about that in your show, how men need to be men and lead the woman. With a gay household, as they as he so put it, are trying to lead and do X, Y, and Z, and they're making money. Why hasn't the heterosexual male gone to the gay male and say, hey, maybe I could try your method, or actually, maybe I should get some information from you.
Right. But we're jumping around, right? Because white men are the most economically sound, and white men make up most of the gay population, along with white Hispanic men. So if we're talking about black men, do you know what I'm saying?
That would be true on that one. I ain't gonna lie. There are more white gay men now.
Yeah, so we're kind of conflating issues. Do you know what I mean? So we can't really ask that question because when we look at the demographics for gay people, we're really talking about white gay men.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. Very well turned around, Irene.
You haven't been to Atlanta yet.
Very well turned around. Well, I mean, yes, I have been. I've seen Atlanta. There's too many of them. There's a lot of them motherfuckers. They're on almost every street nowadays. Now, but we got to admit, Atlanta is now being gentrified. Atlanta's being taken over more so by white people.
Of course, Hollywood came here.
So
that was going to happen.
So would that be more so like, why aren't the blacks? If Atlanta was predominantly more so black, are you saying that now that the whites are gentrifying, the white gays are coming in, is Atlanta being more publicized and being more so looked at because they're coming in and they're making gay trending and more acceptable?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say the place being gentrified, but I will say that since the film industry has come here, the mindset, especially regarding gays and just life in general, is changing out here. Okay, a lot of things are changing out here because of the film industry showing up. Gay people, especially black gay people, who have always had it pretty fucking good out here in Atlanta, bruh. Seriously, I remember being like 19, 20, all right, coming out here with a friend of mine, popping out to a club and seeing like gay dudes blow hundreds at the bar, riding out with fucking Mercedes and shit, living in Buckhead and all these other nice places because they just push to be best, And the whole like gentrification thing, that's not really happening like you think it is. Mainly because the people from Hollywood come over, they make a couple of movies for a couple of months, and they go back home for a few months. And they come back in the summer and do it all over again. Okay, very few people from Hollywood actually live out here, except maybe some of the directors and some of the actors. But as for like, the big hipster rush. That's not happening. That is totally not happening.
I want to ask a question between Jay and Irene. I'm going to throw a curveball at y'all. With the rise of homosexuality in the gay community for black men, how has that been faring for black women with STIs and STDs? Has that been helping y'all, or has that gravely fractured the community for mothers?
Well, STDs overall, I think I would have to look it up, but I feel that STDs overall are down. You should be protecting yourself anyway, regardless. So
STDs,
there's that.
STD. The black community is the highest with HIV and AIDS.
Right, but I'm talking about new STD cases. But
Because I mean, one of the biggest things that I've there's always the story of a woman saying a man gave it to me.
yeah, well, that's
Or
because women are more susceptible. I mean, like I said, people should be protecting themselves anyway. So that's neither.
well, that's your husband.
Right,
Why would
yeah.
you have to wear a condom for your husband?
Right. No, and you're absolutely right. I mean, that's not only a matter of being on the down low. That's a matter of cheating as a whole overall. You know, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a thing, but I mean, I think that goes for both sexes.
Okay.
That's all. I'm gonna go.
That's fine. Irene.
Yeah, I just want to say that according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, gay and bisexual men have the highest prevalence of HIV, not blacks. So I just want to correct that because it's actually the gays that have it the most. But I will say that I do think the black community follows only behind white gay men in having the highest rate of STDs and HIV. And I think that this has something to do with the fact that I don't think completely, because the gay population in the black community is not huge, but I definitely think there is some crossover there of people who are on the down low, of bisexuals and things like that, who are carrying that over. But I think that's also just a community issue as well. So that would be my answer.
Well, I know now there's now a pill being showed on TV. Have y'all seen it called Truvada?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before Truvada came out there, Truvada's not new. It actually wasn't never sold to the public. It wasn't really sold to the public. They just now passed it to get sold to the public. Actually, I remember, but I spoke to my doctors about it. And a lady had HIV. I got it from a male who he didn't say that he got it from his male partner, that she gave it to him. He gave it to her. He just said that he's sorry. He hoped she didn't get it, and so on and so on. I do concern myself for a lot of men, black men, who are of the lifestyle, to very much so protect yourself. I just say that before this goes any further, because I got to do a show talking about it. It is getting really, really bad. I don't know what they're trying to tell y'all, but if they're already trying to sell drugs on TV, and I'm telling you right now, Truvada's a bitch. Truvada's a bitch. When you take it, it drops your immune system to combat HIV, but it can save your life. But the kicker to it is you have to know you have HIV before and they could possibly stop it. But now it's getting to the point where it's pretty up there now, especially for the black community. Now I'm going to pass it over to you guys, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Is it okay with the way that it's going, where we're saying that, hey, it's okay for the family to go the way it's going? Because Are blacks forming households stronger? Are blacks forming households? It shouldn't even matter anymore. Correct? Is that what we're all agreeing on?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Irene, is that what you're saying? It doesn't matter anymore.
Is what I'm saying?
It doesn't matter whether it's a gay household or a straight household.
It doesn't matter to what.
If it's a family setting, it doesn't matter if it's a gay household.
Yeah, I never said that it didn't matter.
I just know. I asked the question. I said, Irene, one day I'm gonna get you. Just
you know, damn well it matters to me. In my opinion, it definitely matters. It absolutely does. I think even in straight households, it's very important that children have access to a mother and a father. And I think more importantly, it's that children have access to two people who accept what they are and accept healthy order. And I just think that that is not possible in a gay household. But like I said, the brother is right. That is not possible in some straight households. It's just that we cannot keep compounding fuckery on top of fuckery is the thing. Do you know what I mean? We can't go, well, straight people aren't great, so, you know, they could be with gay people. At least they'll be more functional than some straight people. We have to just reject all of these backwards ideologies and strive for excellence and healthiness in our nuclear family.
ladies and gentlemen, Irene said fuckery. You know we are doing big things in Black male YouTube.
Damn.
And Irene is saying fuckery. I tell you, Irene, that's what Irene. Irene, are you drinking wine tonight? Because Irene must be really.
No, I'm washing the dishes. I'm trying to. I'm my family, and I'm watching.
Fuckery on fuckery. Goddamn, this only on goddamn BMT. Oh, shit, goddamn.
I don't know if this was brought up. It's just a random little thing. On any given day, there are nearly 438,000 children in foster care in the United States. In 2016, over 687,000 children spent time in foster care. On average, children remain in state care for nearly 2 years, and 6% of children in foster care have languished there for 5 or more years. And of course, the older the child gets, the less adoptable they are. So there's that aspect of it as well. So in 2016, more than 20,000 young people aged out of foster care without permanent families. Research has shown that those who leave care without being linked to forever families have a higher likelihood than youth in the general population to experience homelessness and incarceration as an adult. So I guess my point would be, you know, to go back to the whole your original thing about having same-sex couples adopt children. Would they be better off in foster care, or would they be better off with the same-sex couple?
Maybe we get the foster care. Okay. All right.
Me? Or is that just a general question?
Yeah, I think that was just a general question because I got my synopsis about foster care and doggone gay family. I got my synopsis about that. So I'm gonna leave it to Irene. I think Jay's asking you that question.
It was a general question because I just pulled it up, but yeah, whatever.
I would totally rather be having sex right now.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Irene.
Oh, I was saying that's an excellent question. I actually did a piece on sexual abuse in the Black community, and I brought up the foster care statistics too, because Black boys in foster care are the most vulnerable for violent sexual abuse, same-sex sexual abuse. That just happens to be a statistic. So I think you made a very good point.
So you're saying same-sex? You saying gay? You saying so same-sex? Somebody would sexually assault these boys?
Yes, most young boys and most boys are abused under the age of 12. One particular study looked at 6 months to 10-year-old boys that have been abused. I had a plethora of studies that I pulled for that. It's same-sex sexual abuse, and it's violent.
Is that same-sex sexual abuse from foster parents or from like that weird uncle?
I guess it would depend because they didn't say for each case, but it was heightened. It was nearly for children that were in foster care. So you could say
typically typically that's why they end up in foster care, because they were sexually abused by a family member.
Well, we're talking about, when we looked at the stats, we looked at stats of children that were not in foster care, and then we looked at children that were in foster care. So this is abuse that's going on in foster care. And I want to say, too, this is near and dear to my heart, because I know somebody that was I know two people that were in foster care and sexually abused. I actually edited a book for a woman that chronicled her experiences in the foster care system. So sexual abuse is just rampant in the foster care system. But to your question, I think we sometimes play the lesser of evils. And to me, the question isn't, should gay families adopt these children to get them out of that sick system? The question to me is, why are we promoting and paying with our tax dollars for this system when we know that these children are prone to physical and sexual abuse while they're in it? When we know the system is used to pull minority children out of their homes to make pools of children available for adoption? When we know that this is a system that is basically funneling bodies for cash? So that would be the angle I would take, not what do we do with a pre-existing crappy system? Do you know what I mean? But I would want to fix the system, and I would also want, and this is what I promote on my channel, sexual responsibilities and proper reproduction. And I would encourage people in the Black community to adopt our kids, adopt Black children. We do not do that enough. Everybody, the gays, the whites, everybody is adopting our kids but us. And we need to start doing that. So that is the angle I would take versus, should we just let gay people do it? I would be looking at fixing the problem so that there's not a pool of kids that are adoptable in that way, or at least a much smaller pool of children.
Okay.
Any kind of rebuttal? I mean, hey, it's all on y'all, guys. Hey, it's all on y'all.
Oh,
I'm actually calling for somebody if they want in on this.
I mean, she makes a good point that we should, as a Black community, adopt. You know what I'm saying? So there's less of a pool of children that way. Or at the very least, keep the ones we make. And if we're not able to keep them, then fine. We make sure they're given a good home. That's great. I personally don't care if it's a gay or straight couple. Yes, let's get our kids out of the system and raise them. So I can agree with you on that. I don't care if they're gay, straight, bi, pan. I don't care. As long as you have a good heart and you have a good parenting system and you can pass on some good knowledge, get those kids out that system. Because you're right, they are abused in there.
I do want to say as well, we're not talking about Irene was bringing up specifically foster parents. Usually, the adoption process is different than when they're going to full-time adoption. Foster parenting is different than with full-time adoption. Those are two different things. So yes, I will agree that kids are getting abused by their foster parents, but those are not their adoptive parents. So those are two totally different angles there.
And yeah,
I do want to say clever Kev made a good point. He said, first and foremost, Black people can't afford the kids they got. Secondly, we can't start adopting our kids in the community until the community has more economic power. And thirdly,
true.
If we didn't have a foster system, what would we have?
We have a mini Chang gang. That's what we have.
Don't say that. But look, to the commenter, and thank you for reading the comment, because I'm not looking at the comments. I would say this. People have a gross misconception of how much it takes to raise children. We seem to think that money equals a comfortable house for a child or a healthy house for a child. There are a lot of things that we do that are frivolous, wasting money on television, wasting money on vices like drugs or liquor or cigarettes. A lot of people have the inability to cook whole foods. So it's cheaper to make your foods, to buy 20 pounds of flour at Walmart for $5, because I'm beginning a series on healthy eating and budgeting for families with limited income, basing that on the welfare stats and what people get in food stamps on average. You can maintain a household with healthy individuals in it if you have life skills and you have the fortitude to do it. Also keep in mind that if you don't outright adopt, a healthy Black couple could outright foster children. And I just want to say that whilst I do agree with you. A child could be in foster care and adopted by a separate family. I know a family with 15 kids, and all those kids entered in as foster children and were adopted by the same family. So it really depends on the situation, whether or not the adoptive parents and the foster parents are not one and the same. But I will acquiesce to the point that I'm sure, because most foster kids are not adopted, that it is happening in these foster homes as children are being bounced from home to home, because that's the anecdotal evidence that I've personally seen. And I know that that's the case for most foster children, just based on the statistics.
Clever Kev said, limited income is still limited income. Yes, you can stretch stuff if you work at it, but it's not easy or not always possible.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those times where I wish I could sit down with people and be like, what are your finances? What is your situation? And things like that. Because first of all, we can't start a thought process about change or progression with the word can't, right? We have to start from a different starting place. It is possible. In America, we are essentially rich. Even our poor are rich. We have poor people driving around in cars. We have poor people that are able to push their children in strollers. We have poor people that are able to afford Twinkies and junk food and chips. Do you know what I mean? So poor in the United States is not really poor. So absolutely positively, when I tell you can buy 20 pounds of flour and you can make French bread with just flour, water, and yeast, and for $5 you can get 5 pounds of yeast. So for $10, your family could have bread for a month. And that's just the bread, right? That's not moving into the other foods. So when we have these conversations, we're not having real conversations, right? Because it's not about stretching a dollar, it's about responsible spending. It's about knowing how to, if your kid gets a rip in their jeans, create a patch and to mend that hole. It's about knowing how to, like, this is something I do for my daughters, and I'm not even a financially disenfranchised person. My daughters wear beautiful smock dresses. I do buy them clothes from department stores and designer clothes, but the bulk of their wardrobe I buy on eBay. $25 a dress, smock dresses, I can resell them for $25 a dress after I buy them. So when we have, I think the women, especially since we run the actual households, or we should, we need to start teaching our younger women how to properly manage a household and the funds that they're given by their husbands so that their children can have the best life possible. You know, a leather pair of Mary Janes will last a child with rubber soles further than something from Ross or Payless, and you can buy those secondhand because those are normally shoes that children only wear once or twice. You get a brand new pair of shoes, and if you have, let's say, 2 daughters, you could pass that down to your second daughter. But these aren't conversations we're having. We rather go to Ross and buy a $10 outfit for our child than buy a high-quality suit of clothes that can be passed down for several generations or resold. So again, there are a lot of angles we can come at this, from food to economics inside of the household, where you can buy affordable furniture, removing televisions and those vices out of your households, just things like that we can do. Curbing your desire for sugar, sugary foods and drinks, sodas, juices. A lot of people keep that in your house. That's a luxury. Drink water. And you can take that $20 to $40 or more you spent per month on juice and soda, and that can go to your food budget. Or go to a budget for you doing a co-op so that your kids can take horseback riding lessons. Yes, that's possible, even for poor people. I think we aren't thinking about this as a community. And again, when we start our thought process with the word can't, then we don't have anywhere to go from there, right? We have to open up our minds and think outside of this box.
Okay.
Kev, you really should be on here. I'm tired of reading your responses to her. You're not considering the fact that people run major razor thin budgets to the point that one bad situation can bankrupt you. Also, you're not actually factually wrong. Most poor people are not buying sodas and frivolous things. That's a misconception and a stereotype.
And Twinkies are cheap as shit.
Elgo said most of the country can't pay for a major car repair or medical emergency. But I mean, we're getting way off.
Yeah, y'all start talking about food and everything else and I'm just trying to figure out where the fuck y'all going with all this. Like,
yeah, I think it all came up because we were talking about adopting children, and somebody made the comment that it's not affordable, but it is affordable. We can't make excuses unless it's going to be excusing how we we're trying to make excuses and moving forward. Like, this can't be the excuse making conversation. This has to be the let's do this conversation. So we have to come into it with the right attitude.
Okay, so like I said, I have a lawyer who wants to come in on this. So whenever they get in, guess they will be with.
Well, we already been here an hour, so.
No,
Yeah, and there's a woman in bed waiting for me. So if there's nothing any really important, I really gotta go.
Okay, well, I don't like want to stop nobody from getting no booty. So
Yeah, thanks, bro.
well, guys, I'm glad that we could actually have a viable debate. You guys heard the information on how to make food to save money, to go to recital, and also talking on the talking points of the gay couple raising the household. Now, I know you're all looking for who's right, who's wrong. It's up to you to decide. I'm either going to tell either one of y'all about, hey, this side is better than that side. That's going to be up to you. That's not my conscience, not yours. Not my penis, not yours. Not my butthole, not his. Not her. It's not hers. It's the truth. But
one day, though, I really want to talk about Miss Irene, where you get your information about how certain types of sex are a gateway to certain other things and how they're detrimental to the body. But we'll get to that on another day. But right now, I need to go and put some shit into practice. I'll see y'all later.
Bye. But other than that, Michelle, you just missed out. We just now finished up on the debate about which household would be more better, the traditional household for a black family to go back to, or is there's nothing wrong with having a gay household for the black family nowadays, especially in 2018. You can answer the question before we go. You know, it's up to you.
I mean, it comes down to what are the priorities? Is there somebody that are going to be home for the kids when they come home from school? Is there going to be somebody that is primarily responsible for the washing, the ironing? Somebody that's primarily going to be responsible for the cooking and the washing the dishes? Let's talk about the real parental duty.
Irene kind of touched on that.
Yeah, Irene kind of touched on that one. Irene did hit on it. Yeah, she did.
At the end of the day, people are talking about the practicalities. Can gay people do it? Hell, butlers have been doing it for rich people for how many years? But they still did not instill the moral fabric in the family that fathers and mothers did. Butlers have been cooking and cleaning up poop for eons, thousands of years. The best families have had butlers. Men can clean up poop just as well as women can. But can they substitute for the mother and father dynamic? The answer has been no. People throughout history that had mothers and fathers who delegated their responsibility to the maid or the butler, the ones who were capable of doing the physical chores that did not have the DNA, those children did not turn out as conscientious of societal need as those whose parents put in the hard work themselves. That's the long and short of it. It's like, is a hoe as good as a housewife? Guess what? You can pay somebody to do everything that you check off and say that a housewife is supposed to do. Can you pay a woman to clean your house? Yes. Can you get a woman to have sex with you? Yes. But is that a wife? Will she love you like a wife? Will she promote you and care for you and put your best interests first? No. That's what it comes down to when you start dealing with non-biologicals trying to do the job of what God said biologicals are supposed to do.
Okay. All right. Damn, we should have got you in here earlier. That way you could have got this done. But it's all good. It's all good. We done this for an hour, and it was a good debate. Irene gave out some good topics. Jay and Mobile did some good. Hopefully, I can get a one-on-one with Nichelle talking about should women be responsible to pay alimony. That'll be another topic for another time. Hopefully, y'all can join in. I probably will grab Irene because I believe mommies should pay alimony, just like Cardi
You mean
B
like me
is
sitting
going to
there
pay.
laughing at Cardi B for not taking the time with her $800 tattoo on her titty? She had an $800 tattoo on her titty with her husband's face instead of hiring a lawyer. Bye, bitch. Bye. You paid for what you wanted. Let that tattoo represent you in court. Bye, bitch. Pay for what you need.
Listen, y'all black women just need good leadership. That's all y'all need.
No,
So,
it's not a
guys,
matter of black leadership. It's a matter of common sense leadership for all races.
okay.
If you pay for what you want,
Want that on
you
another?
want you wanted that tattoo on your titty. You paid $800
We
for it.
gotta go.
Let that $800 represent you in court.
Okay. So, other than that, you guys, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Irene, you got to say anything about your show before we go?
Wait, what'd you say?
You got to say anything about your show before you go? And show us a plate of your food that you cooked.
Oh no, it's all gone. Well, my
Wow.
man's plate is still here, but I'm not going over to the table for it.
Okay. You want to give out your show before you go? And I got to go grab the link of your show. Oh, God.
Yeah, my channel on YouTube is Irene Yvette, and thank you guys all for listening.
Yeah, guys. I showed off. I made sure I got Irene here, even though she doesn't ever put out my show stuff, but it's okay. I still love my cousin.
I put out your show stuff, even if I don't disagree. At the end of the day, my book will be out soon.
You got a book?
It's 3 steps up. Yes, 3 steps up. How to survive society after having 3 strokes, and people still believing you should help them for free. I mean, come on now. I've had 3 strokes, and I can't get nobody to come over here and clean my toilet for free, but they want free legal. Think about that shit.
We'll definitely do that talk. But other than that, guys, I'm going to go. My beer intake is getting low. And Irene's daughter already chastised me about my alcohol drinking, which was very hurtful for a 10-year-old.
I need you to send alcohol this way before the show.
Listen, when you got a 10-year-old child chastising you about me making poor decisions about my drinking and my kidney, that kind of hurts.
You did not send any my way. That's the problem.
I probably would have done that, but most likely that I would have had her having more stuff she probably wouldn't pulling on.
I have 3 17-year-olds, 3 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old. They could deal with the 10-year-old. They'll deal with her.
She won't. She can't hurt me anymore. Not when I'm drinking. She can't hurt me. All right, guys, we gotta go. Good night, and y'all have a good time.